Hello, B1 family, and welcome back to the YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. My name is Daniel Jackson. Today I want to talk to you about the the murder of that young man by those five ravenous police dogs in Memphis. I'm going to show you the video that's been they finally released, and I'm actually redoing this video from a video I did yesterday because it had a real bad hissing sound due to bad technology and some equipment I bought, and I do apologize about that. But I'm redoing it right now. So before I get into that, I'm going to read you the goal of this channel. The goal of this channel is to build an unstoppable army of melanated black people in America and around the world who understand that we as melanated people have one enemy worldwide, and that enemy is the system of white supremacy. That enemy is the system of racism, white supremacy. Our mission through education is to replace this evil system with a system of freedom, justice, and equality as laid out by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. We will need your help in building this knowledgeable army. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by donating to this cause through Cash App or PayPal, and by sharing the videos you watch here and any knowledge that is shared. In doing so, together we help fertilize the mentally enslaved, colonized minds of black melanated people worldwide, creating the perfect mental conditions for our children to grow up in a better, more balanced world. And my new focus is to end the system of racism, white supremacy in my lifetime. I will not be passing this on to our children. You know, what happened to this young man in Memphis can happen to your child. Not only today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next year, it could happen the year after that, if we do not end this now. What I'm going to explain to you in this video is going to help you. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's video will be in the description. So please like this video. Also, take a minute and join the channel. Hit the bell and hit all so that you're notified if I when I make new videos or go live. The reason we must end, again, the system of racism, white supremacy in our lifetime is so that we don't pass this duty on to our children. We can end that right now in our lifetime. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I will not transition to the next phase of reality until this takes place. And I'm going to need your help to do that. You are a distribution arm for the system, for our for the black media. So it's your job to help pass this information along. We don't have billions of dollars like the racist white news organ. We have each other. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be on code. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a code to end the system of racism, white supremacy. And that code is B1. We must all be of one mind. We have to put our children, the B1 philosophy is we educate our own children. We create our own jobs and businesses. You know, that's part of it. I don't know the whole, I've got it wrote down. But matter of fact, if you listen to any of Dr. Boyce Watkins' videos, he kind of breaks down the B1 philosophy. And it's simple, very doable, and it's much needed. And I don't want to go too far off into that. But I just want you to know this will end in my lifetime. And I hope you have the same resolve. Okay? Now I'm going to explain to you why what these black officers did is racist. I'm going to explain to you 100% because there is confusion. They saying, well, these were 5 black officers. How could this be racist when everybody involved is black? And I'm going to explain it to you 100%. And the reason Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's video that's in the description is very important. It helps you understand these type of events so you're no longer confused. The system of racism, white supremacy confuses the very black mind. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this camera around and let you watch that video for a minute. If you have seen it, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't matter. This video, this video is for educational purposes only, so I'm leaning on fair use. Anything I show you is for educational purposes only. And, you know, I won't probably show, well, the video is very short anyway, so don't worry about the length of that. You know, and it is traumatic. So if you got a weak stomach, you know, don't watch it. Just mute it, step away for 2 minutes, you know. But it's important to see these things so that we know it's a reality. You understand? And again, the question was raised, if everybody involved is black, then how can this be a racist incident? And I'm going to explain that to you right after we watch this video. Okay? So let me turn this camera around and get you caught up. I apologize. I forgot to hook up my speaker. Give me 1 second.
Power on.
Okay, sorry about that. Brief intermission. Okay,
The release of that graphic video showing Memphis police officers beating a man who died days later. The video made public overnight shows those officers repeatedly punching and kicking Tyree Nichols.
Protests breaking out overnight across the country almost immediately after that video was released, including in Memphis, where people marched in the streets and blocked traffic on the interstate. Nichols' family pleading for protesters to remain peaceful.
And President Biden speaking with Tyree's mother and stepfather hours before the video was released to express his condolences and commend the family for their courage and strength. We'll be joined by Tyree's family in just a few moments. But first, ABC's Stephanie Ramos is in Memphis with the latest on that video. Stephanie, good morning to you.
Hi there, Janae. In that video, you see Memphis police officers kicking, punching, using a baton on 29-year-old Tyree Nichols, who died days later. In that video, you also hear Tyree call out for his mother. He asks, "What did I do?" The hour-long video is disturbing. This morning, outrage and protests in the streets of Memphis following the release of disturbing body camera footage showing
I'm
the
sorry I'm
brutal
moving
beating
around
of
so much. I just
29-year-old Tyree
kind of want y'all to
Nichols
get the
at a
best
traffic
view.
stop. The incident happened January 7th around 8:30 in the evening. You can see here police stop Nichols while he's in his car and pull him out. In the video, Nichols maintaining his innocence.
Damn, I didn't do anything.
Officers tackling him to the ground.
Get on the ground. Hey, y'all. All right, I'm on the ground.
Nichols wrestling from their grasp and running away. Police catch up with Nichols at his second location roughly 7 minutes later.
Watch out.
Nichols heard calling out for his mother, her home about 100 yards from where he was beaten to death. Two officers then seen holding Nichols down as a third kicks him. Less than a minute later, another comes in with a baton. The beating of the unarmed father lasting nearly 3 minutes before the 5 officers step away. A few minutes later, several more officers arriving on scene, standing by, none appearing to provide aid to Nichols until 20 minutes after the attack. EMTs not seen for more than 22 minutes after the end of the beating. 3 days later, Nichols died at the hospital. Following the video's release, people taking to the streets in Memphis, chanting "No justice, no peace," and Tyree's name, shutting down the interstate.
All right, I know, like I said, that video is being heavily circulated, so you could actually watch the whole thing on any news feed right now. I just wanted to put it into this video because it wasn't available yesterday. Okay, now, it's a few things that stand out to me, for sure. One is because these are 5 black officers, and I think a couple of the EMTs have been arrested and charged as well. You'll notice that justice was swift. These officers were not put on paid leave. They were arrested and charged immediately. Their pictures were blasted and plastered on all the news medias immediately. Well, folks, what you're seeing in real time is how the system of racism, white supremacy protects the image of whiteness. Now, what do I mean? What I'm saying is, if these were white officers, there would be paid leave. You wouldn't see images of the white officers, and they'd have to delay and watch. They wouldn't release the video this quick. You understand what I'm saying? But because they're black, the system of racism, white supremacy is saying, hey, look, see, those niggers kill people too. See, those niggers, they kill people too. You know what I'm saying? But police officers belong to the brotherhood. When they put on that uniform, they're no longer black. They're no longer white. They're blue, right? And the police unions instantly stand up for the white officers and be like, hey, well, you don't understand that the police officer's job is very hard. They have minutes and seconds to make life-changing decisions. Instantly, they go to defend the actions of the white officers. And none of that here. No. Black officer, your ass going straight to jail, in which they should. So should the white officers. See what I'm saying? The goal has always been for justice. See what I'm saying? Justice. And this is what's taking place here. So I really don't quite understand these protests and all this, except for people are upset that this happened, of course. But the goal has always been justice, and these people are being handed justice so far, which is good. Now, why is this considered racist? They're black people, all black people involved. So how could it possibly be racism? Well, let me tell you. As far as a black person go, let me minimize my screen here. I don't want to get distracted. The goal for black people is to be balanced. A person should have high self-esteem and high group esteem. Hold on 1 minute. I heard some noise and I just had to address that for a minute. Again, I do apologize. But anyway, a black person should be balanced. You should have high self-esteem, high group esteem. These police officers, when they become officers, they have high self-esteem, low group esteem. They don't see themselves as black people. They see themselves as police officers, and therefore they are superior to other blacks. They have the mindset in that instances of white supremacists, and that's why they do what they do. Technically, these are white supremacist black attack dogs. In fact, I'm gonna name the video just that because it's true. But what these black officers and all bootlicks like them don't understand, the system of racism, white supremacy always breaks its tools or fools when it's done with them. And y'all see it in real time. They're getting quick justice. The system of racism, white supremacy is handing them up quick, fast, in a hurry. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what we want on all police murders of black people across the board, whether the cops are white, black, or green. We just simply want quick justice. And we better get it going forward because this instance sets a precedent. Okay? Please understand it. So these officers are white supremacists because they're unbalanced. They don't have a B1. They don't follow the black first philosophy. You have to put your melanin first. You understand? And a lot of police officers, who probably join the force thinking they want to do the right thing. And, they have to understand the police force is inherently racist. It comes out of the slave catching, and that's a fact, undisputable fact. These officers are current day slave catchers. Excuse me. It's nowhere around it. So that's how it's racist. I hope that helps clear some confusion. And again, watch Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video in the description. Now, the name of this YouTube channel is called The Big Black American Secret. And the secret is you are an Aboriginal American. You are so special to the world, to this continent, because the ground you stand on belongs to you. The racist out of Africa theory was given to you by, again, racist white people for Europeans to steal your very American identity, therefore your land, labor, and resources. They convinced you that you're a West African slave by putting the Mongolian breed of Asian in our history books as Indians, when you are the American Indian. I'll prove that to you in a minute. Okay? And that's why the things that happen to us here in America are intentional. Again, your identity is being stolen by Europeans. I'm going to share with you the definition of American in the year 1828. Matter of fact, I bought this book. This is the Noah's Webster Dictionary from the year 1828. It's a compact edition. I didn't know it was a compact edition. You see how thick it is. But more importantly, you see how small these words is. So I'm going to pull a definition up, which is in this book. The definition of American in the year 1828, so you can see it, and I'll read it, because I want you to understand, as Black Americans, if we continue down the road that we are the descendants of West African slaves, then we are aiding the system of racism, white supremacy, and our own demise. You understand what I'm saying? So in that instance, when you believe that, you too are now a white supremacist as far as that point goes. You see how weird this can be for the very Black mind? You could be 100% B1 on every other topic, but when it comes to your American identity, you're like, no, we all from Africa. Everybody from Africa. You know, no, not everybody's from Africa. Africans are Aboriginal Africans. Americans are Aboriginal Americans. Australians are Aboriginal Australians. See, life sprung on every continent in and about the same time. The ecosystem in America is the same as in Africa millions and millions of years ago. You understand what I'm saying? Again, that theory is racist, and it was racist on purpose. Anyway, I'm going to turn my camera around and show you the definition of American in the year 1828. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you a question. Would you say this 1 cent copper penny matches the complexion of the back of my hand? Yeah, it's a little shiny, but it's damn near exactly my color. What that illustrates is that you are a copper brown color. You are a brownish red color. And I'll show you the definition of the color of the penny in a minute. But when the people came to this continent, Christopher Columbus, the people before him and after him, described the people they saw so much it ended up, again, in a dictionary in the year 1828. Okay? So that's 100% factual. So I'm going to show you this definition. And I do apologize, I'm so low tech. But American, a noun, a native of America, and I'm gonna turn this around and read it. I just want you to know this there in Google. American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. What I just tell you? The Europeans are trying to steal your American identity, and have been for a long time. Okay? So, and the reason that definition is important is because it was written in 1828 before the year 1859. The year 1859 is when the system of racism, white supremacy kicked off. Before 1859, you had European domination, and most people don't know this. I make a video explaining both of those things. So go ahead, again, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and hit all so that you're notified. So go back on my videos and get caught up to that. Okay? Now, again, that definition tells you exactly who you are. That definition has been hidden from you for years. Okay? Now, here is more proof that you are, in fact, the red man. Okay? I'm going to turn this around again. This here is a graph of pennies. Let me see. A graph of pennies, and I'm going to scroll down. You see the top ones here says red, red, and brown. Okay? And this says, to accurately grade copper coins, you must be able to describe the color of copper. Over time, the brilliant orange, red color of a freshly minted copper coin, such as a Lincoln cent, will diminish and fade to a deep chocolate brown color. As this degradation of color occurs, there will be varying degrees in which both red and brown colors exist simultaneously on the surface of the coin. This color designation only applies to uncirculated copper coins. All circulated copper coins are assumed to be brown. Brown. Get it? Assumed to be brown. And who is deep chocolate brown? That is us. That is you. That is me. Matter of fact, I want you to do an experiment tomorrow when you go to Walmart or any large grocery store. I want you to close your eyes and then open them and look around at all the black people you see. You're going to see something very wonderful, and it's going to confirm what I'm showing you right here. We are a brownish red color. We are a brownish red color. Again, we are those people in that dictionary, copper colored. And they call the Indians the red man. But we was taught to believe that the Mongolian breed of Asian is the red man. In fact, a lot of people still say, oh, those red Indians. No. Your identity is being stolen. You the red man. You the Aboriginal American. You are the American Indian. Okay? Identity theft. Now, getting back to those police officers, again, they're unbalanced, which makes them very dangerous to the rest of us because they'll end up killing other black people the way these people did. And I'm going to be honest with you, this has been happening for years. These black officers are white supremacist attack dogs. They were used during the slave trades. They had other black folks catching and murdering black folks. We've seen those slave movies. Slavery couldn't have been pulled off without the help of other melanated people. I'm going to prove that to you. And I'm going to show you how dangerous being unbalanced is and how it, in one instance, how it started. In fact, it started with religion. Yeah. In 1492, when Christopher Columbus came here and started enslaving our people in the West Indies, in those islands, Spain enslaved Indians. Matter of fact, let me just to prove to you, because right now we're talking about the slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade was not only told to us in reverse, it was a cover story for the real slave trade that took place here. As a matter of fact, let me do this real quick. And I wasn't thinking about talking about this, but it helps. It's going to help you understand why the mindset of these 5 white cops. Okay. What I'm Googling right now is it's a phrase called the International Indigenous American Slave Trade. Now, months and months ago, when I first started researching this, and the reason I researched this is I spent quite a few months digging into the first slave trade here in America, which was the Indian slave trade. You see what I'm saying? And these books all talk about the Indian slave trade. And just, imagine my surprise to find out there was an Indian slave trade, because in our schools, or our houses of indoctrination is what I call them, they told us they couldn't enslave the Indians. The Indians would run away, couldn't be found, so they had to go and get West African slaves, right? But let me read something to you real quick. And I'm going to just pre-read this to see have they not changed the wordings a little bit. Okay, so on the screen, I typed in the International Indigenous American Slave Trade, and what comes up is slavery among the indigenous people of America. So I'm going to read a portion of this that's going to prove to you that the slave trade of Indians was in effect well before the slave trade, the English slave trade, the so-called English slave trade of Africans, right? And I'm gonna get off into that real quick too. Okay, it says, like I said, I'm gonna read the whole thing because it gets into a whole lot of fluff. Okay, it says European powers, chattel slaves. Okay, so let me just try to read a little bit. It says, slavery among the indigenous people of the Americas, referring to slavery of and by the indigenous people of America. The history of slavery spanned all regions of the world during the pre-Columbian era. Many societies in the Americas enslaved prisoners of war or instituted systems of forced labor. Contact with Europeans transformed these practices as the Spanish introduced chattel slavery through warfare and the co-option of existing systems. Other European powers followed suit from the 15th century through the 19th century. So the 15th century is the 1400s, 1492, Christopher Columbus, through the 19th century, which is the 1800s. Between 2 and 5 million indigenous people were enslaved. Between 2 and 5, according to this estimate, I'm sure it was a lot more, but they said they couldn't enslave the Indians, therefore they had to go get West African slaves. This slave trade started in 1492 and didn't end until the 1800s, right? But you never heard of it. You never heard of it because they were enslaving you, your people. And when the English supposedly got involved, they'd lie and say they was getting West African slaves from Ghana, West Africa. That's not what they was doing. They were pirating Spanish ships, taking their Indian slaves and bringing them here to America. Here's proof of that. The 20 and odd Africans brought to the shore of Virginia in 1619 were pirated off a Spanish ship. They had already been baptized by the Spanish because that was their tradition to baptize them. Of the 20, 11 of their names were recorded. They had Spanish names. And therefore, because they had been baptized, they couldn't be put into chattel slavery. They had to be put into servitude. So those 20 and odd people were said to be African. Why? Because they looked African. We look African because we melanated. But they were actually Indians. You see? John Hawkins, one of the first people who was said to bring African slaves here, was a pirate. He was a privateer. It'll say, Google it. It's right there. He was a pirate. He stole black Americans off Spanish ships. And that had been going on for about 100 years. You understand what I'm saying? So it's very deep, the deception that we've been put to. So they didn't get slaves from West Africa. They got slaves from right here on this continent, in the islands and on the mainland. There were 19 documented Indian wars on this continent for the sole purpose of enslaving Indians. But you never heard of this. You never heard of this. You on the right channel. Share this video, click the bell, hit all so that you're notified when I go live or make another video. Okay, now, I'm telling you all this for the same reason that these cops are unbalanced. When Christopher Columbus came here to the colonies and started enslaving, a few months later, he was given permission by the Christian Catholic Roman Church. I'm putting Christian in there for a reason, because a lot of times we're confused when we say, well, those were the Catholics. Catholics and Christian, that's different. No, it's not. Matter of fact, all religions are the same. They're exactly the same. We're confused by the fact of religion because they break it up into so many things. But all of them are bad. And if you are a religious person, you need to come out of the religion. I don't care what it is. And just focus on being a spiritual person. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. But I'm going to show you why I'm not a Christian or any religion. And it's got a lot to do with these police officers being unbalanced. When Christopher Columbus came here in 1492, Spain gave, in 1943, a few months later, the Christian Roman Catholic Church declared war on our ancestors. And in a document called what is this thing called? Papa Boo? think it's called the papal or the papal bull. But anyway, here's the document. That's Pope Alexander the Sixth, right? And I'm gonna read this thing right here. If I'm pointing to it right, yeah, I'm gonna read this, a little bit of this. It says, the Pope asserts rights to colonize, convert, and enslave. Pope Alexander the Sixth asserts a papal bull or decree. When you decree something, you're making a declaration. This is a declaration of war on your ancestors. Intica Terra, in which he authorized Spain and Portugal to colonize the Americas and its native peoples as subjects. Again, they enslaved American Indians, not Africans. The Pope declared them, gave them the right to do it. The decree asserts the right of Spain and Portugal to colonize, convert, and enslave enslave. It also justified the enslavement of Africans. And I'm sure they threw that African in there because they had to, because they think all black people are from Africa. But anyway, so when and again, that's why they baptized their slaves and when they put them on the ship, because of this decree, But anyway, so when they got here to the land, to the colonies here in America, and they're raping and murdering our ancestors, the Indians who converted to Christianity, who are accepted into the system, the Roman Catholic Christian religion, are accepted into that system, they're elevated to the white supremacist level. And when I say white, I don't mean that as color. It's just the system. Again, there was European domination. So they no longer, they see themselves as Christian. They no longer see themselves as their brothers and sisters, just Native Americans. And so now they're turned into slave catchers. Now they're going to enslave their own people. No different from these 5 murderous cops. They were elevated to the level of police officer. Now they're enslaving and beating and murdering their own people. Do you see this, people? You see how dangerous this system is? It's very dangerous. And we must end the system. It's going to be ended in our lifetime. Our lifetime. We'll not pass this down to our children. It's your responsibility to protect your children at all costs, because they are the future. They are your lineage. If you fail them, you might as well go to sleep tonight and not wake up. You have no use to this on this planet. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean that wholeheartedly. You're of no use. In fact, you're harmful to your own kids if you don't have this mindset. Please understand. I'm very serious on this topic. Now, again, you see, you got to be balanced. You have to have high self-esteem and high group esteem. Okay? Now, that's called being on code. Now, here's the difference between being on code as a white supremacist and being on code for all the other rest of the people. When white supremacists are on code, they murder and kill people. The KKK, red shirts, police murders of innocent people. They steal property and land. That's bad. That system has to go. Now I want you to compare that with, let's say, Chinese people, because Chinese people are on code. Chinese people are on code, and they really technically only do business with Chinese people. They buy from each other. They sell to each other that they need, but they go out to other communities and make their money. See what I'm saying? They put up shops in our neighborhoods, make their money, but as far as their supplies and everything they need, they don't buy from black people. They will not buy from black people. They're on code as far as they go. So we too must be on code. That's not causing murder. That's not harming anybody physically, which is what the system of racism, white supremacy does. The system of racism, white supremacy has went to every continent and colonized and murdered and raped and enslaved people. That's the system of racism, white supremacy. That being on code is evil. So that ain't what I mean when I say being on code for black folks. No, I'm talking about being on code like the Jews or the Jewish people, being on code like the Chinese and Mexican, peoples, I'm going to say Japanese. We have to do business amongst ourselves. We must educate our own children. We must open businesses and employ ourselves and each other. That's what I mean by being on code. Because if you still silly and think we need to integrate into other people's communities and things, no, you should not be thinking about any of that. Your strength is in your numbers. You stay in your own neighborhoods. You make your neighborhood strong. You open up businesses in your neighborhood. You provide employment for the teenagers coming up in your neighborhood. That's being on code. That's B1. Please understand that. Okay. So I hope me going through this short explanation shows you that these officers are white supremacist black attack dogs. And white supremacy always breaks its tools when it's done with them, or it's fools. So do not be a black man's white man. Don't be a bootleg. Don't be a coon. Be a strong black man. Be a strong black woman. You know, do everything in your power to, you can have a regular job, but use everything, every minute of your extra time to start to open up your own business, side hustles, so that you could come away from their financial systems, because they are providing your income, you are limited in your ability to be a strong black person. And it's okay. We all have to survive, but you must have a game plan to use that income to create your own and help to educate other people, black people around you, about this system of racism, white supremacy, so they too can become B1, so that we can start looking at each other different. We can start looking at each other as resources to do business with. Our money should change hands, 18 times in our own neighborhood before $1 leaves, just like it does in the Jewish communities or other communities, the Chinese communities, you know? And it's, like I say, in our lifetime, this is going to be done. This is going to be done. That's my declaration. So thank you for your time. Please share this video. And again, join this, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and hit all, so that you're notified when I go live or make another video. Be one.